Most businesses are still trying to get people to click. Click the link, visit the website, fill out a form, and then maybe take action. But what if I told you that in 2026, the businesses that are growing the fastest are not relying on clicks at all? They are getting clients, leads, and attention without sending people anywhere. This is already happening. For example, imagine someone searching for a service using an AI tool. Instead of seeing a list of websites, they get a direct answer. They see recommendations, names of businesses, and clear suggestions. And in many cases, they make a decision right there without ever visiting a website. The same thing is happening on social media. Someone watches a video, understands the offer completely, and sends a message directly. No landing page, no funnel, no extra steps. This shift is called zero-click marketing, and it is quietly changing how people discover businesses, how they build trust, and how they make decisions. One of the reasons this is so powerful is because it removes friction. The fewer steps someone has to take, the more likely they are to act. Instead of forcing people through a process, you are making it easier for them to understand and respond immediately. In this video, I'm going to break down what zero-click marketing really means, why it is growing so fast, and how you can start using it before it becomes the standard that everyone follows. To understand why this shift matters, we need to look at how marketing has worked for a long time. Traditionally, everything was built around getting a click. You create content, someone searches for something, they click your link, visit your website, and then decide whether to take action. This model worked well for years because people were used to exploring multiple sources before making a decision. But today, behavior is changing. People want faster answers. They don't want to open multiple tabs, compare different websites, and spend time figuring out what to do next. They want clarity immediately. For example, when someone searches for a service now, they often see answers directly on the platform they are using. Whether it is search engines showing summaries or AI tools giving direct recommendations, the need to click is decreasing. This creates a hidden problem. Because if your entire strategy depends on getting clicks, your visibility may slowly decline without you even noticing it at first. You may still be creating content, still posting regularly, but fewer people are actually visiting your website. And that leads to confusion, because from your perspective, you are doing everything correctly, but the results are not improving. This is not because your effort is wrong. It is because the system itself is changing. And when the system changes, the strategy must change as well. Zero-click marketing is a simple concept, but its impact is much deeper than it first appears. At its core, it means delivering value, information, and clarity directly on the platform where your audience already is, without requiring them to leave that platform. But what makes this important is not just the definition, it is how it changes user behavior. For example, think about how people make decisions today. Instead of going through multiple steps, they prefer faster, simpler experiences. If they can understand something immediately, they are more likely to act on it. This is why zero-click marketing works. When someone watches a video and understands your service completely without needing to visit your website, they already have enough information to trust you. When someone reads a post and gets a clear answer to their problem, they do not need to search further. And when AI tools recommend your name based on your presence across platforms, people may choose you without ever visiting your website. This changes the role of content. Content is no longer just a way to attract attention. It becomes a way to build trust instantly. And when trust is built faster, decisions happen faster. That is the real power behind zero-click marketing. This shift becomes much easier to understand when you look at how people actually use platforms today. Most platforms are no longer designed to send users away. They are designed to keep users inside for as long as possible. And this directly changes how content works. Think about your own behavior for a moment. When you open a video platform, you usually watch one video, then another, and then another. You don't leave the platform after every video. You stay inside the experience. The same thing happens on social media. You scroll, you watch content, You understand what someone offers, and sometimes you even message them directly without ever visiting a website. And now with AI tools, this behavior becomes even more obvious. You ask a question, and instead of getting links, you get answers. Clear, direct, and immediate. This changes expectations. People are no longer expecting to search and explore. They are expecting to understand instantly. And when people expect faster understanding, your content has to match that expectation. Because if your content only works when someone clicks away, it may not perform well in a system where people prefer to stay. This is not just a platform change, it is a behavior change. And behavior change is what always drives marketing shifts. This change in behavior leads to a very important shift in how marketing strategies should be approached today. Instead of asking how to get more clicks, the better question becomes how to deliver value immediately. Because when someone understands what you do quickly and clearly, trust builds much faster. Think about it from a user's perspective. If you come across a piece of content that explains exactly what you were looking for without making you take extra steps, you naturally feel more confident about that source. You don't feel the need to search further. For example, instead of creating content that only gives partial information and pushes people toward a link, you create content that explains the idea clearly within the video or post itself. This reduces friction, and when friction is reduced, hesitation is also reduced. Over time, this creates a different kind of audience, an audience that already understands your expertise before they ever visit your website. And when that happens, your content is no longer just attracting attention. It is actively building trust and influencing decisions at the same time. This is where the real advantage begins to show over time. When someone already understands your value before taking any action, the decision process becomes much shorter. They are not starting from zero. They already have context, clarity, and a level of trust. So when they finally reach out or interact with your business, they are much more likely to convert compared to someone who is still trying to figure things out. Another important part of this shift is how platforms actually measure and reward content today. But to understand this properly, think about it from a user's point of view. When you are watching a video or reading a post, you don't think about clicks or algorithms. You simply stay with content that gives you clear answers and leave content that feels confusing or incomplete. And platforms are designed to track exactly that behavior. So instead of focusing only on clicks, platforms now prioritize content that keeps users engaged and satisfied without requiring them to leave. For example, if you watch a video that explains a topic clearly from start to finish, you are more likely to stay until the end. That signals to the platform that the content is useful. The same thing happens with written content. Posts that answer questions directly are more likely to be saved, shared, and recommended to others. Over time, this creates a feedback loop. Content that delivers clarity keeps attention. Attention creates engagement, and engagement increases visibility. But the deeper shift is this: success is no longer measured by how many people click. It is measured by how well your content helps people understand something immediately. And when your content consistently does that, platforms naturally push it further. Which is why clarity is no longer just helpful. It has become a real competitive advantage. At this point, there is something deeper happening that most businesses don't fully notice, and it goes beyond visibility. Zero-click marketing is changing how trust is formed, and more importantly, how quickly that trust develops. Think about your own experience when you come across a piece of content that explains something clearly, especially something you were struggling to understand before. In that moment, you don't feel the need to take multiple steps or compare different options. The clarity itself creates a sense of confidence. You don't immediately think about visiting a website or checking 10 other sources. Instead, you feel like you already understand enough to move forward. The same pattern continues when someone sees your content multiple times across different days or platforms. They might watch one video today, come across another tomorrow, and then see your post again later. Each of these interactions builds familiarity, and familiarity naturally reduces doubt. When doubt is reduced, decisions become easier. This is why zero-click content is so powerful. It builds trust before someone even starts thinking about taking action. And when trust is already present, people don't need to be convinced step by step. They simply need a reason to act. That creates a completely different kind of marketing advantage, where decisions happen faster and with much less resistance. So the next question is how you actually apply this in a practical way, especially if you are starting from scratch or trying to improve your current strategy. Instead of thinking in terms of steps, it helps to think in terms of how your content is experienced by your audience. When someone comes across your content, they are not looking for instructions. They are looking for clarity. For example, imagine someone watching your video because they have a specific problem. If your content directly explains that problem and gives them a clear understanding within that same video, they don't feel the need to go anywhere else. That is the shift. So instead of creating content that only attracts attention, you start creating content that completes the experience. This means focusing on answering real questions in a way that feels natural and easy to follow. It also means removing unnecessary steps. If someone can understand your offer without needing to click away, you are already ahead. Over time, each piece of content you create becomes more than just a post or a video. It becomes a small decision point. And when multiple pieces of content consistently deliver that level of clarity, your audience begins to trust your message without needing extra validation. That is how this approach turns into a system, not just a tactic. This shift becomes even more clear when you look at how search actually works today, especially from a user's perspective. Think about the last time you searched for something online. In most cases, you were not looking to explore 10 different websites. You were looking for a clear answer as quickly as possible. And now, search platforms are adapting to that behavior. For example, when someone searches for a question today, they often see a summary at the top that already explains the answer. In many cases, that summary is enough and the person does not feel the need to click further. So the experience changes. Instead of searching and exploring, people are starting to search and decide within the same moment. This creates a different kind of competition. Content is no longer just competing to be clicked. It is competing to be trusted as the answer, and this is where clarity becomes critical. Because the content that explains something in the simplest and most understandable way is the one that gets attention. Over time, this changes how visibility works. It is no longer just about ranking higher. It is about being clear enough to be selected. And when your content consistently provides that level of clarity, it becomes easier for platforms to surface it in front of the right audience. This shift becomes even more powerful when you look at how people are actually using AI tools today. Think about how someone searches using AI. They don't type short keywords anymore. They describe their situation. They explain their problem in detail and expect a direct answer. For example, instead of searching for something basic, someone might ask for the best solution based on their specific need, budget, and situation. And within seconds, the AI gives a few clear recommendations. At that moment, something important happens. The person is not comparing 10 different options anymore. They are choosing from a small set of trusted suggestions. This changes the entire decision process. Because instead of exploring, people are deciding much faster. And that means being visible in these recommendations becomes extremely valuable. But here is the key point. AI does not randomly pick those recommendations. It looks at signals across the internet. Your content, your presence, your consistency, and how clearly you explain what you do all contribute to whether you appear. So the more your content helps people understand your value quickly, the stronger your chances become. And over time, this increases the likelihood that your name appears exactly when someone is ready to decide. Now, you might be wondering how this actually applies if you are a small business, a freelancer, or even just starting out. And this is where this shift becomes very practical, because zero-click marketing does not depend on having a large website or a complex system. It depends on how clearly you communicate your value. For example, imagine a real estate agent creating short videos explaining common questions buyers have, like how to choose the right location or what to look for before making a decision. If those videos clearly answer those questions, a viewer can understand the agent's expertise immediately, without needing to visit a website. Or think about a digital marketing consultant explaining how businesses can improve their ads step by step within a single video. Again, the viewer gets clarity instantly. In both cases, the decision process becomes shorter, because the audience is not starting from zero. They already understand who you are and what you do. And when that happens, even a small amount of content can create strong trust and visibility over time. That is why this approach works especially well for smaller businesses, because it shifts the advantage from resources to clarity. Now, the real question becomes how you actually start applying this in a consistent way without overcomplicating the process. Because the goal here is not to do everything at once. It is to build a simple system that improves over time. Start by identifying the most common questions your audience already has. These are usually the same questions you hear repeatedly in conversations, messages, or client discussions. Instead of trying to create completely new ideas, focus on answering those questions clearly through your content. For example, if your audience often asks about pricing, process, or results, create content that explains each of those areas in a simple and structured way. Then focus on how that content is delivered. Make sure each piece of content stands on its own. Someone should be able to watch it, understand your value, and feel confident without needing to take extra steps. This is where consistency becomes important. Because one piece of content builds awareness, but multiple pieces of content build trust. Over time, as you continue creating content that answers real questions clearly, you start building a system. A system where your content works for you continuously, and instead of constantly trying to attract attention, you are gradually building clarity that leads to decisions. But there is also another side to this shift that is important to understand. If you continue relying only on traditional methods where everything depends on clicks, funnels, and long user journeys, you may start noticing a gradual decline in results. Not immediately, but over time. Because as platforms continue to prioritize instant answers, fewer people will follow longer paths. They will choose faster, simpler experiences instead, and this creates a gap. Businesses that adapt to this behavior will gain more visibility and more trust, while those that don't may still be active, still creating content, but seeing slower growth without clearly understanding why. This is what makes this shift important. It is not a sudden change. It is a gradual transition, and gradual changes are often the hardest to detect until the impact becomes significant, which is why acting early creates an advantage, because once this becomes the standard, adapting will not be optional anymore. It will be necessary. At the beginning of this video, we talked about how most businesses are still trying to get people to click. Now you can clearly see why that approach is changing. People are no longer following long paths to make decisions. They are choosing faster, simpler ways to understand and act. And the businesses that align with this behavior are the ones that will grow. Zero-click marketing is not about removing steps completely. It is about removing unnecessary friction. It is about making it easier for people to understand your value, trust your expertise, and make decisions without hesitation. When your content does that consistently, it becomes more than just information. It becomes a system that influences decisions before someone even thinks about taking action. And that is the real shift, because the future of marketing is not about getting more clicks. It is about creating clarity where decisions happen instantly. If you start applying this now, you position yourself ahead of the curve instead of trying to catch up later. And in a space where attention is constantly shifting, being early is often the biggest advantage you can have. If this changed how you think about marketing, then don't stop here. Start applying it. And if you want to stay ahead of these shifts, subscribe to the channel, because this is exactly where we break down what's changing and how to use it before everyone else catches on.